Musclebox Radio Season 2, and this is episode number 7. So today we're extremely lucky to be joined by Luke Johson from Shredded by Science. How you doing, Luke?
Good. I was just wondering if you missed out that before lucky.
Yeah.
And I like the season too. I like how you're putting it into seasons. I've not really heard of this thing in podcasts with the seasons.
I would like to say it came down to good planning, but we just stopped for a while.
So it's like 2.0.
Shit got really busy, so we were like, right, let's start back up again. Let's call it season 2. It sounds better than it actually is, you know? But no, I'm glad you like it, mate. Yeah. So Luke, obviously, for anyone who doesn't know you, give our listeners a little bit of a brief intro in who you are, and then I'm going to talk about why I've got you on the show.
Cool. So I'm a guy who doesn't lift. Or didn't used to. I used to lift.
A little bit.
Then I stopped lifting a little bit. The best. Go back to when you was bro-ish as well. Didn't you love those days when you didn't have a clue what you was doing? The only thing that you worked to was, I can't literally complete another rep.
Yeah. The industry was more fun then.
Yeah, so it's sort of like it's a weird process. The less you know, the probably more you enjoy it. Then as soon as you start learning, you start implementing a little bit. You're less bro science and more science. And then I've sort of gone not full circle, because I ain't gone straight back there, but it's knowing what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy. And even if the science shows that you don't need to do this, it was like, maybe I just like using higher reps and feeling the pump and doing biceps at the end of every session, even if you're not supposed to on paper or need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go on, mate. You carry on. I was just going to say that me and Mike literally did a whole episode on how we're going against science with our training program. We're literally doing drop sets, supersets.
Beautiful.
Bicep blaster curls. We're doing them all. But
nice.
Yeah, mate.
Are you getting the arm blaster when you put it around your neck?
That's the one from Gold's Gym.
Yeah. However, there are other gyms. We are not endorsing just Golds. No.
But if you get an arm blaster, you've got to get it because it's more iconic.
Yeah. Otherwise, people will look at you and be like, oh, why didn't you just get the Golds one?
Exactly.
Like, everyone gets the Golds one.
Yeah.
So who am I? I'm Luke Johson. I'm the founder of Shredded by Science, which is an online education provider for personal trainers, fitness enthusiasts. I'm a dad. I'm not a fitness model. I could just say who I'm not. I'm not a fitness model. I'm not a bodybuilder. I see myself more as an individual who likes to be his own boss and have a business, and ambitious, competitive. And I think it's the competitiveness of why I'm doing, obviously, the prep, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So it's good that we're actually talking about that rather than, to talk about online coaching. What sort of advice would you give someone who wants to get into online coaching? It's like, well, listen to the last 20 podcasts did.
That's it, mate. I'm glad you said that, because I think it's great that you're doing a prep. Honestly, as you know, I'm hugely passionate about bodybuilding and prep and the whole journey and everything, taking through clients through it. But I wanted to find out from your perspective, going from someone that probably didn't lift as much as you do now, right? There's definitely been an increase in lifting and prepping food and the sort of meticulous nature you've had to go through. Mm-hmm. And I want to know what it's been like making that transition.
Yeah, it's
because obviously, you're a smart guy. You hang around with incredibly smart people, like Eric Helms and those guys, and your knowledge is fantastic for understanding what prep is all about. But I want to know whether the prep and you've come to learn is the same as what you're expecting based on the knowledge that you've gained.
Mm-hmm. It's a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah.
Than I thought. Like when I decided to, it's weird because obviously, as you know, people listening to podcasts, you probably don't know, is when we had the 3GMJ conference last year on the second day, Boxy was there. And I was trying to encourage Jeff Alberts, because he's got the Godfather posing guide. It actually is called that.
Yeah.
Which I always refer to, and I'm like, why's my front lat spread? What's wrong with my scaps? Like, round him off. The posing's probably been the most challenging, I would say.
Yeah.
Just because, and I've been doing it since day one. I can remember when my first weekly update with Eric Helms, who's my coach, and I didn't send him a posing video. I was like, do you really want to see a fat man posing? Like, you ain't going to see anything. And he was just, because, and he was like, no, because it's a skill.
Yeah.
And you have to get good at it. You have to keep doing it. And it's going to be a good a before and after of me posing 100 kg instead of 77, 78 kg. And actually knowing what he's doing now after the 9 months of actual posing practice.
Yeah.
But when I decided, so going back to Boxy, was I managed to get Jeff to agree that he would do some posing coaching. So I thought, I've never seen it before.
And Jeff was my coach at the time.
Yeah, so he was your coach at the time. So you'd already had that client-coach relationship. And I can remember going up to you and being like, can you get into your skimpies and do some posing? And he was like, I think, how many weeks out was you at the time? He was quite close.
4.
Yeah, so you looked good.
4 out from my first show, 10 out from my main show, and then 16 out from my British finals.
Yeah. So at the time you was relatively lean, you were lean.
Yeah.
And the thing is, because we both compete in natural bodybuilding, and we're both natties, no one can. I mean, all the YouTube trolls will if there's no doubt that they think I'm not even natty. YouTube's a fantastic platform for trolls. I love it. And I can remember Boxy taking his clothes off, and then and even when I went to the competition I'm competing at this year, was the same one Gordon Greenhorn competed at. I know you know of Gordon.
Yeah. And
when you go back, I actually went backstage. When you go backstage, and no one's pumped up. I would say they've got their Oompa Loompa tan and stuff, but no one's pumped up. And you look at them and you think, you don't even look like you lift. When you've been dieting for that long. So when Boxy took his clothes off, you can see he's lean. But I was like, yeah, he doesn't, he's not that big. And then as soon as you started getting into your poses and that X-frame and the illusion, I was thinking that was one of the... wasn't the reason why, but it definitely contributed to why I wanted to compete this year, because
you thought it was possible, right?
Yeah, and when I saw you doing, because this was before Gordon's competition actually, so when I actually saw you hitting your poses, and you didn't pump up beforehand, you wasn't just doing a load of push-ups like you see all these Instagram people, and when you started getting into the poses and seeing how you transformed to a guy who looked quite slight to now a guy who doesn't look slight, and you can see the muscles and how your body was positioned, it actually put things into reality for me. So when I went to Gordon's competition and I went backstage, when you see people on stage, they've pumped up, they're tanned up, and the lights is a beautiful thing.
And they're carved up as well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're carved up. There's times when you've had your 5-6 days of low carb, and you look at your body and you just go,
what's left?
It's seriously, why am I even bothering getting on stage? And then I had a diet break not that long ago. I had a diet break on week 9. And that week I went to Grenade Fit the lighting was good, but it was just downward lighting. And it was after a pump, and I put some stuff out on the interwebs. And people were like, wow, you look so different. I was like, it's lighting and a big pump up. So when I went backstage and saw Gordon there, I was like, these guys don't even look that big or shredded. I didn't think, when you see him on stage or even on a video, I remember recording Gordon with my camera, and I was recording on 4K, and when I was looking on the small LED display, I was like, bloody hell. And then when you're like that and you look back and the lights, everything, so it made it seem a lot more achievable, based on they didn't look like that prior to pumping up and being in really good lighting. So then Helms, when he came over in 2014 to do his conference, was you there in the one in Bath?
No, I didn't make that one, no.
So Eric came over, and then obviously wedge riding like 2.5 hours, 3 hours to Bath, and come up in conversation. I was like, if I ever, for whatever reason, decide to compete, I want you to prep me. So me and Eric had like this gentleman's agreement in the car driving up to Bath. And then it was my 30th birthday, and we're in the SBS Academy group. And it was like us, the LJs, but just like my special. So someone said, would you compete? Or when you, if you get 20,000 followers on Facebook, will you compete, and will Eric prep you? So Eric's in the group, in the Academy group, so they tagged us in. And I was like, yeah, I'll just make sure that only people in like this far out country are the only people which can ever see our Facebook page ever again. So therefore we're not going to get to 20,000 followers. But it was a combination of things, and it was more so the challenge. Yeah. So when I was younger, I've always said I've not been put on this earth to just be okay with just being average and sort of accepting that. You could say it's self-belief, cockiness, whatever you want. I don't really care. But that's honestly what I felt. And from a young age, I can remember when I started karate, it was just before I was 6, but I wanted to do karate when I was like 3 or 4. But they wouldn't take me on. I used to just watch hours and hours of Bruce Lee's films. My dad done martial arts when he was younger. So then I actually got into karate, and then I was just competitive. I'm the guy who would be 14 years of age, and you've got a younger cousin who's 4 years of age. And rather than letting them win in a race, I would let them have like a 50-meter head start for 100 meters, and I would run them down. And I didn't care if I beat them. Like that's the way I am. I'm just really competitive.
Yeah.
So when I stopped competing and became a father, and then actually had my own business, because I wasn't a fitness model or labeled myself in that way, or had any supplement sponsorships or anything that required me to stay in relatively good nick. It doesn't creep up. Like, I got fat over 5 years or like 4 years. It didn't creep up.
Yeah.
And with the business now, and being in the stage where Lenny, my son, is coming up to 5, I missed that competition. And for me, it wasn't, my competition went from like playing sports to business. And then when I felt like my business was at a decent level, and I was sort of, SBS was like 4 years old, Lenny was 4 years old, I just wanted a personal challenge. And I'm not going to run a marathon. And for me, I need something to focus on to train. Because guess what? I don't really, back in the day, I used to enjoy training.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily love going to the gym and lifting weights. But there's some people which love it, and I don't.
It's like one of those things that we were talking about the other week, me and Mike, and we were saying about, you sometimes can read as much as you want about, what's most optimal, but it can sometimes just suck the fun out of it. I remember the days when I used to rush home to get my post-workout shaking, and if I didn't take my pre-workout, what's the point even training? And that mentality is one that I sometimes miss. I know it's not optimal, and I know it's not needed, but I used to enjoy, like we said, just smashing guns, hitting up the drop sets, and not worrying about doing 5-3-1 or trying to undulate or periodize my training. No, I'm just going to go in and train arms and abs. There is that element of, and I must admit now, I've took, I haven't competed since like the IFBB event last November, late October. And training's been difficult because Team Box has grown and grown, and it's sucked up more of my time, and it becomes increasingly difficult to get to the gym, and also when you're there not to actually switch off. So as I'm getting older, there's more responsibilities. I'm not a father like you, and you can see why it takes over, right? And it's about that. How do you balance those priorities?
Yeah, and again, as you get older, but having abs and stuff like that isn't like, you change. Like, you shouldn't. Your mentality and your wants and goals should probably be different at 30 than they were when you were 20. Your responsibilities probably are different. Like, you have business responsibilities. I have business and a family responsibility. Yeah. So everyone's in different situations. But for me, it was just having that, being a bit selfish as well, in regards to saying, because before Lenny come along, when I was sort of a semi-pro, I got in the best shape I had been in, mainly because I knew that when he come, because it was when he was born, it was going to be a new experience. And from speaking to other people and seeing other new dads and stuff like that, that it would be relatively hard to still be able to train as much as you were and still have that motivation and just lack of sleep and the other stuff. So starting a business, having a child, I actually felt, no, I'm ready. And I'm actually going to be selfish now, where I'm actually going to do something for me, and rather than and have the personal competition. But I wanted to experience it as well, because I've not prepped hundreds of like physique athletes, but I've prepped a good sort of 8 to 10 of them, and they've placed and stuff like that. But I remember when someone first contacted me, and they'd already done a bodybuilding show, and they'd already done quite well. And I just remember I'd followed like Eric, Alan, Lyle, Lane Norton at the time, and you can read as much information as you want or as you possibly can. But I still felt quite uncomfortable, and that was pretty much the reason why I wanted Eric to teach on the academy on coaching for physique athletes, because even though I had sort of thrown myself into the literature and what these experts were saying, I still didn't feel 100% confident with that.
Yeah.
And I just put my hands up straight away and saying, I wouldn't hire a coach who hadn't competed. Yeah. I know that's a whole nother argument, but just me as a person, it's like, that's my opinion, like it or not. But for me, it was always going to be Eric. But then obviously when me and Eric have that working relationship now, I said to him, look, if you don't want to coach me, because we can keep business, and rather than having sort of business, friendship and coach-client relationship, I'll be happy with one of the other 3DMJ coaches. But he was like, no, I'm cool. I would like to. And this is the great thing about Eric. He only coaches a handful of people. I think it's like me and Bryce Lewis. A little bit of a difference. Bryce Lewis, world champion, great powerlifter, and Luke Johson, a guy who hasn't lifted properly for 4 years. It's a little bit of difference. Yeah. But the credit to where Eric is, he's like, no, I want to, because I want to have that relationship with you and learn from you as well.
Yeah.
Like, who says that? Like, it's Eric Helms, and he's like, no, I want to experience it, and Eric's so open-minded that he's saying, no, I want to learn from you, and also I want to learn from you, and just nice. Having someone who's prepped so many people, because it's the unknown, and as you know, when you diet, and if you've got we could coach ourselves, but is it probably a good idea? Probably not, because when you're dieting,
there's very few people I think have the
who can do it.
Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter how much you know. It is that the psychological aspect of it, remaining critical. Like, I am, like everyone in, you know, Team Box will always say to me, like, I'm so level-headed when I'm in prep. I'm just not emotional. You know, so trying to, like, and that probably comes across on this podcast, that I'm just not emotional about anything really when it comes to prep, so I can remain extremely objective. But yeah, like, there's very few people who can do that. I can remember one show I worked with Lane. I prepped myself for the first like 16 weeks, and then he prepped me for the final 4. Because of the money, and I met Lane, and I was like, you know, I've got a show in 4 weeks, can I work with you? And he was like, showed him all my data, and he was like, yeah, I can work with you. And he wanted to work with me at that stage, and that was great. But it was interesting, because the way I first of all ended up getting coached by Jeff was because I applied for Eric. Eric was the only person I knew. I'd heard him on podcasts and stuff. And anyway, I applied for 3DMJ and applied for Eric, and then I was given Jeff. And
you don't get a choice.
You don't get a choice. And then I had to put in there who I'd previously worked with, you know, shows I'd done and all that sort of stuff. And by then I'd already done a few. And then obviously I was given Jeff, and I was like, who is this Jeff guy? I need to suss him out. So went on his bio, checked him out, and I was like, I'm going to give this guy a shot. I like him, you know, from what I've seen, sort of stuff. Anyway, I had a Skype with him. And then about 2 months later, when I moved back to England, because I was in South Africa at the time, I was like, right, I'm doing it. And then, worked with Jeff for about 2 years, I think.
Wow.
So 2 seasons. So me and Jeff become extremely good friends over that time, and still now I sort of send him an email and be like, "Oh, Jeff, hope the prep's going well," and we'd have some great back and forths and stuff. And an amazing prep company, and Eric, it's fantastic. So you're in extremely safe hands there.
Yeah.
So,
but,
I was going to say, so you started
I've
at
not
100.
answered your question.
You're at 100 kilos now. You
I'm not
start. You started at 100 kilos.
Imagine if I was, then they'd definitely be saying, "You ain't natty, you ain't natty."
You were 100 kilos.
Yeah, I was heavier than that at some stages. When I look back on like RCLJ's episode 1,
Right.
I'm like, because I'm half Greek, but I used to joke as in when I'm fat, I look 3/4 Greek, and when I'm more shredded, I look 1/4 Greek. That's my take on it. But yeah,
So,
100 kg.
And you got Dexa scans done?
Yeah, I wish. I'm a little bit thingy about Dexa because
Go on.
when I did it, first of all, it said I was 24.4%. I'm like, okay, like it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's extremely fat. But fat is fat. Like whether it's, I had an in-body scan thing. I went to LTB, and the one you stand on, and there's so many like margins of errors, and whenever you see like really lean people on so they're always higher on the Dexa scan than they are on sort of like calipers or bioimpedance, other different basically methods of calculating body fat. So it come back, I was 24.4%. When I done an in-body scan probably a week or two before that, and he said I was like 21 point something percent. But I was fat. Like, there is no abs. Like I can't hide it, especially when I'm in my pants.
Yeah.
And then I had my DEXA done again, probably about 14 weeks after.
Okay.
But because I wasn't training, like when I say I wasn't training, I was training, but it might have been some weeks like once a week, and other times 2 times a week, and other times it might have been 0 times a week.
Okay.
And on a very rare occasion, it may have been 3 times a week. But when I used to go into the gym, there was no plan, there was no structure.
Mm-hmm.
It pretty much was whole body. When I say whole body, just upper body, that is. I never trained my legs, but my legs are decent, and they were coming in quite early. And my legs are probably bigger than my upper body. I think
Mate, that's carrying 100 kilos. That does that,
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Even when you have a DEXA, when I was there with Phil, the DEXA scan guy, he was going on about when he has like obese, like morbidly obese people. He's like, you've got the lean body mass of a bodybuilder. Like you've got a load. You just need to get rid of the fat, and you've got a bodybuilder's physique.
Yeah.
Not quite, but again, if you imagine just putting a rucksack on. Like I weigh 80.3 kg this morning, and yesterday weighed exactly the same. So I've dropped 19.7 kg since February.
Yeah.
So it's a large amount of weight. I did see 79.9 flickered a couple of times. I went on it about 5 times. I was like, go on. I was like, I'll get you tomorrow, son. 79.9. I'll see you tomorrow. But yeah, going back to the DEXA. So because I hadn't been training frequently, because even my whole time of being in the fitness industry, I probably tracked macros for a maximum of 2 weeks in my life.
Wow.
Like 2 weeks. Because I'm like, I ain't fucking, like you've already swore, I ain't tracking these fucking macros. Like, I'm not living by this phone and MyFitnessPal and wearing these little black velvet numbers.
Yep.
These are really good for when you have a glass table. You can just put your phone on it, and if things go off, it doesn't zzz. So, so I was like, if I actually trained and tracked my macros, and at the start of a prep, but my prep started off on 2,590 calories because somebody weighs 100 kg. So you would go, well, that's quite an aggressive deficit. Well, I had quite a lot of fat, and mine and Helm's, well, the plan that Helm set was we wanted to drop like around 10 kg in the first 10 weeks, and then the rate of progress would slow down. The leaner you get, the less fat you have available to lose. Obviously, you don't want to be still being as aggressive when you've got less fat available in regards to within your body. Mm-hmm. And then obviously you've got less calories going in. So I started off on 2,590 calories, 800 calories worth of cardio. That was my starting point. My calories had dropped twice, but we can probably talk about that in a bit. But when I had my DEXA in the first 14 weeks, I thought, I didn't even used to hit legs. So with training 4 times a week, with actually tracking macros, with having a ton of body fat available to use as energy and not really, I'm like, I've got a load of cushion in here. So when I'm dropping weight, I'm hopefully not putting any muscle mass at risk.
Yep.
And you see it time and time again in scientific papers with even like advanced athletes who are in like a mild deficit, who actually put on some lean body mass. Now there's multiple factors like water weight. Obviously, if I've got less carbohydrates in my diet, so my glycogen levels are probably going to be lower, which therefore the water weight that you get with storing like 1 gram of glucose as glycogen is around 3 to 4. But I thought, right, I honestly thought I'd body recomp, because I classified myself as sort of detrained.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it was a pipe dream, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was like, this is it. And then I jump on Dexa, and I'm like, right, I know I've definitely maintained lean body mass. I've not lost any, or I've put some on. You've lost around 2.1 kg of lean body mass, motherfucker. I'm like, and this is,
how did you So you're
you can see my response on the YouTube video. I've been doing an actual natural bodybuilding prep vlog. We started off like daily, and then I was like, fuck this, I'm just eating the same shit every day and training. It's not really entertaining. It's a bit of a nuisance filming myself in the kitchen, cooking chili con carne again.
Yeah. So in terms of the, were there any variable differences? So did you have any high days prior to doing it, or did you monitor fluid intake before you did it, or was it just kind of wake up, go, get it done, and you just had it done as a and in the time period of your prep? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I tried to keep everything as consistent, so the time was the same as when I had it done prior to that. Yeah. The only thing was when I had my first Dexa, because obviously it does break down like your muscle mass, lean body mass and stuff like that, and you can see it sort of went more from, I have the fat distribution of a woman.
Nice.
Which means I've got a fat ass, fat legs, and not as much like fat around the predominant areas where males have it, around the sort of the belly area. Yeah. Hence the higher risk of like coronary heart disease and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, that's good. So I'm not really I'm a fat fucker, but I'm not really at risk of heart disease, because the fat is all around my arse and hips. Yeah. And where I wanted to, but then the first time I had Dexa done was the first week of prep, and fuck me, I had DOMS. Because I'd done a spin class, I think, prior to it, and I actually started lifting the weights again, and I was training like a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and because I was doing the whole bodies, and when I started off on the prep as well, I was doing squats, and I'd never really squat or deadlifted, because when I was at the college, that was when I was training properly for 5 years. I had a good 5 years worth of training like a bro, but I did that when I made my most progress, because I was a skinny little fucker. Yeah. When I was younger.
You should see I'm going to post a picture probably today or tomorrow. I found a picture of me 6 years ago.
Nice.
And
you're just like
a spaghetti.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's whole like body type bollocks. As in, I'm an ectomorph because I hadn't lifted the weights and I was 16, and then I got ectomeso, and then I got fat because I became a dad. So then I was an endomorph, and now I'm an endomeso. Now I'm sort of a meso, and now I'm an ectomeso because I'm like a few weeks out from stage.
But that's science, mate. You know, you can't
science, bitch. But no, the Dexa, and he told me 2.1 kg. It's a hard one, because as a coach, you would say to, if that was my client, and this is what Helm sort of done with me, it's like, Luke, there's margins of errors, and like it could just be water weight. Like, don't let it negatively affect you. But it doesn't matter how many times you tell your clients to not focus too much on the scale weight. When my scale weight drops, with me, it sort of stays for a bit, and then it dropped by like 0.7, 0.9 kg. And when you see, when you've been dieting for like near on 8 months, and you see it drop, I like go off on one in the kitchen. It's 5:30 a.m. and I start punching my chest, because I'm like, yes. And even though it's just a scale weight, and you know it's just one sort of little metric, and you tell your clients, like, we're coaching clients and the scale weight's not moving, it's not moved for a week or so, you'd be like, don't worry, Like there's multiple factors: sodium, water intake, blah blah. You're more stressed now. You've changed jobs. There's so many different variables
You need
which
a poo.
affect your weight. You need. Yeah, oh yeah, that's the one. I get excited over poos. Like if I get 2 out in a day, I'm like, when obviously in the HQ and I'm with Tom and that, and I'm like, I'm going again. That's like two in one day. I'm like, this is beautiful, and I'm like, let's jump on that scale tomorrow, and then whoop. But it's just it's a different thing of coaching someone and then actually experiencing it yourself. So when the Dexa thing come up, you'll see me in the video, and I was just blatantly honest. I'm like, you're lifting weights to lose muscle mass. Get your head around that. Like most people lift weights to put on muscle.
Yeah.
I'm lifting weights to try not to lose muscle.
Yeah.
And this fucker's just told me I've lost 2.1 kg of lean body mass. I don't know how much is muscle mass, but it doesn't matter. You've still lost.
Yeah.
And just that sort of mind fucked of, okay, I really thought I'd recomp. So what's going to happen the next 14 weeks?
Just imagine if you didn't lift weights.
Yeah. And this is the thing, and this is what you see. So part of me's like glad I've got my Dexa scan, my next one day out from the show. Yeah. I'm going to be carb loaded up, and I'll be like, what's my lean body mass now, bitch? Do you know what I mean?
No, and that's it. Like when I did mine, I just basically used the only thing I took from it was how much body fat mass did I still have. Yeah. So then I could work out relative percentage based on what I was weighing each day, because I knew that because I was in a calorie deficit from then on and that point forward, because I did mine when I was extremely depleted the day before my carb up. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like the lean mass, you can't.
What was yours? I suppose you didn't have one before though, did you?
I did, yeah.
Oh, you did?
I don't know the difference.
So I'm going to have 3 in total.
Looked at that. Yeah, so I've got still one more to do actually. So I did one mid-off season, then 2 days before my second show, and then I carried on dieting a bit further. But I was down at, I think, 5%, something like that on the Dexa. I think Mike was in at 4.5. But yeah, I just looked at the actual fat amount, and then I could work out relative where I was about as I went forward. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I was pretty lean at that point, and so was Mike. But they're a good tool, aren't they? And it's just a case of, they're not a measure I would tell everyone to go out and get. But, if you want to find out and you want to be a bit more accurate of what you're doing, it's a better way than doing that than, someone with plastic little, skin calipers or those scales you step on at the gym with your clothes on still.
And your socks.
Exactly, yeah. So, they're a reasonable amount. So, apart from the actual dieting side of things, which you said you've kind of found easy and you thought was going to be, right?
Yeah, like as I said, I'd never tracked macros for more like in 2 weeks solidly. Yeah. And was like anti-macros. Like I'm the guy who'd be walking around body power, like mugging people off for having Tupperware. I call them Tupperware Tonys. Yeah. Yeah, so I was that. Now I am Tupperware. I've got Tupperware over there. But there gets to a point where if you don't track, you don't know. And when you actually have a competition and you're documenting it, and on a YouTube channel, on Instagram, and then everyone can see you, it gives you that accountability. I don't need that accountability. Some people do. I don't do it. I just wanted to document it. 1, for content. Yeah. 2, because you see so many people, and this is the reason why I hired Tom as well as videographer, because there's so many people doing vlogs and they're holding cameras. I was like, fuck that. I'd rather pay money and invest in a videographer to actually just film me and going through certain things and going to certain places like the Dexa, having my bloods done, which I had done, and I'll have that the day out from the show as well. So the plan is getting my bloods done again, see what my testosterone level is, cortisol, and sort of those things. Because we were actually contemplating on actually doing a case study on it, but because obviously Helms, with his involvement with coaching me and Dr. Mike Zerlos, in regards to his involvement with SBS, we all thought it from it wouldn't be a good thing, because people would probably just frown on it, even though we wouldn't cook the data and we have no reason to. Yeah. We all decided against it, but so it'll still be like a case study. It just won't be like published. Yeah. In a scientific journal. I publish all my data in regards to on the vlog or on the website.
Yeah, and this is the thing that I found when I sort of documented my prep last year. I was only picking up the camera when I had the energy, and they were often the times which I shouldn't have been filming. I should have been filming the times when actually, my girlfriend Laura filmed a lot better content of me, which showed the true nature of what I was going through at the time to get that condition. Like walking home, I used to walk to the pub, have a Diet Coke, walk back. That was my cardio. I used to do it probably every evening for about, 1 to 2 hours a day. And I was walking like an utter zombie, but she was just filming me speak, and I was slurring, and I just had nothing left. Like my body just wouldn't really give up anything left. It was really, really difficult. But they were the times where I should have been filming, so luckily she took the hold of the camera and said, we need to film this because people need to see this stuff.
And your hands are too shaky.
Yeah, not when, I've just woke up and, the day's great and look how lean I am. Like, that don't help anyone, does it? It was good. It was really, really interesting. So, mate, honestly, I've been, watching your progress and stuff, and you're looking great.
Yeah.
So,
it's I really wanted the vlog to be more like Carl Pilkington and like an idiot abroad, and just a guy who's like, I don't even fucking enjoy lifting that much, but I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I hate tracking macros. But when I started with me, if I put my mind to something, I'm going all in.
Mm-hmm.
Like if anyone goes, have you got any tendencies to binge? I'm like, no. And I think with most people, I just think I'm finding it, I'm waiting for it to get hard, and it's not getting hard. Like I woke up a couple of days ago, I'm on Snapchat, and I've got so much energy. I feel great. Hunger is there, but it's like, come on, you have made the decision to semi-starve yourself.
Yeah.
Perspective, people, perspective. There's people in this world who don't have the luxury of even being able to eat. Like, just stop whining like a little bitch and just take it. And I think because I do have a business, because I am a busy person, and I am sort of that mindset of, if I'm going to say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it properly. Yeah. There is no, I'm just going to do it and give it 90%.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it, and I'm just waiting for it to get hard. I feel great. But then Helm said, and I mentioned it, every time I do a weekly update, I don't know, did you have to do like the video update for Jeff or each week? It's like your video update, your posing update, and then your spreadsheet. So I keep going to Helms, I'm going, I feel amazing. Like, I'm waiting for it to kick in. But when Eric was over like a month ago, he said every client is different, every person is different, and sometimes
preps can be different as well.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm dieting for 9 months, one, you look at it and you think, God, that's a long period. But then two, you think, well, you had a lot of fat to lose, so you had 4 years of dieting, as in eating what the fuck you want diet.
Yeah.
So you was at a good starting point in regards to how much fat you had.
Yeah.
Hormonally, whatever you want to say, obviously. So you started off on a good position. What I think you get with some people is they're always in this constant cycle of, I'm in an off season. It's like, oh, but Body Power's coming, so I've got to diet. I'm in off season, but then my supplement sponsor wants me to not get too fat. And do you know what I mean? With me, it was just, I didn't have any of that. It was just, it wasn't who I was. It doesn't define me. I'm not a pair of abs, even though I do like being this sort of level of leanness. Maybe a couple more, maybe I reckon about around 84, 85 kg it would be a good sweet spot to stay.
I mean, that's the thing. When I was going to say, when I'm on stage, I'm 74, 75 kilos.
How tall are you?
5'10".
So I'm 6'1", and I'll be 77, 78 kg on stage. That's sort of what Helms has got me at in regards to and being sort of shredded.
And for me, what I can maintain is, 5 to 6 kilos above that, and that's me eating a lot, training well. So now I've just got another year now before I compete again. So I just need to put on as much size as I can. Yeah.
Did you when you had your diet breaks when you were prepping? What was happening with your weight? Because my actual weekly, on week 9, I'm on 2,290 calories.
I didn't really do any diet breaks.
I didn't, yeah. See, I had one when I went Disney World, and actually come back the same weight, so that was good.
Yeah.
I was just making good decisions, and sort of just from knowledge of nutrition and stuff like that. Some days where I would have been on maybe 3,500, other days I would have just reined it in a little bit based on. So it's sort of like auto-regulation of your diet, rather than auto-regulation of your training. Yeah. And then when I had my diet break on week 9, I was on 2,290 calories, and I ended up going up to 3,000 calories and having 400 grams of carbs rather than 225. And my actual weekly average weight dropped slightly, but it pretty much stayed the same. So I'm thinking, look, if I can eat 3,000 calories at like 81, 82 kg, then this is pretty good. And with me, when I look back, because I didn't track the macros, there'd be some days when I'll just be busy and I might actually only eat like 1,600 to 1,800 calories. Yeah. So I think those days
compensate have
helped me with the lower days now, because they don't feel that low. Yeah. And it's just making smart decisions. So little simple things like, I'm going to go Tesco's and pay £1 for a simple salad, and I'm going to eat that before I actually eat my lunch. And that just little things. And it's just sort of, with the diet break and stuff like that, I've had 2. And I was actually, when Helm said, we're going to have a diet break on week 9, I'm going, and that's the thing, this is the good thing about having a coach. I wouldn't have given myself a diet break.
You'd have kept going.
And I would have just kept going, because I would have been like, well, I feel all right. But Helms has prepped so many people. So if Helms is going to give me a diet break 9 weeks out from a show, listen to the man. Like, don't hire a coach and then second guess him. Like, if Helms said to me, right, we're not going to have a diet break, that's fine. If he said to me, we are going to have a diet break and we're only going to have 3 or 4 days, that would have been fine. But when he said the whole week, and the plan was even before, after the diet break, he told me what the plan would be, pretty much 99%. I was always on one high day, which was a Sunday, and he said, right, what we're going to do is my carbs were on I'll give you my macros now, 225 protein, 235 carbs, 50 fat. And I had one day on exactly the same protein and fat, and then 400 grams of carbs. And he said, right, the plan is, look, on week 8, so after your diet break, we're going to drop your carbs down by 10 grams, nothing. But you're going to have 2 days at 350 rather than 400. Technically, I'm doing quite well. There's hardly any difference. Yeah. And yeah, sort of after the diet, it was knowing that, okay, you are having a diet break and this is the strategy after. And when the strategy was, we're giving you 2 high days, I'm like, actually, I must be doing well. I must be leaner, because you've got that whole thing where you look at yourself some days and you're like, I don't look that lean, and it's cold out and your veins ain't popping. And then you get out a hot shower, and you look down and you've got veins everywhere, and you're like, oh, actually, I look good. And it's when you get into the deeper stages of your prep, and it depends. Some people, it's how you self-analyze yourself or evaluate yourself. Some people really hard on themselves. Mm-hmm. Some people are probably generous on themselves and don't get lean enough. They think, oh yeah, I'll be all right. And this is what I think more so, especially with the science-based world, maybe a year or 2 ago when I was prepping clients, and even I probably had this mentality was, I'm going to get you diced without giving you all of the cardio. Do you know, like the whole metabolic damage thing? And you'd be like, yeah, you don't need to do cardio to get shredded. But guess what? It's fucking good to do cardio when you're prepping, because then you don't have to cut your calories as much. So it's like, don't go to, whenever you either go this end or that end of the spectrum, it's probably not good. It's not good going to extremes. That's in no cardio and all the cardio. It's probably always better to stay here, but you can't stay here. You have to go one way or the other. Yeah. So with me and the cardio, when Helms had me on 800 calories at the start, I'm like, what the fuck? And then it went to when my calories dropped. I think I was on 225 protein when I started, 60 fat and 275 carbs, and then it went to 250 carbs and 50 fat, and proteins always stayed the same. But my cardio went from like 800 to maybe 1,000 or 1,200, and now it's on 1,400 calories. But I just walk home. Our office is in Shoreditch, and where I live is in Rotherham Hive, so it's like a 55 minute walk with like a heavy rucksack on. Mm-hmm. So I don't bother with the Apple Watch, and I just equate to it around. It depends. You go on the internet, you work out like your METs and whatever it is. Yeah. And I've tracked on my watch before, and it's probably around 250 to 300 calories. I'll just say it's 250. So I just walk home 5 days a week. Yeah. And then I do a little bit, and that's it.
Nice.
A little bit extra. So it's not as if I'm living in the gym.
Yeah.
and have to just do cardio in the
I
gym.
always
I'm
find it funny
actually
when I see
saving
someone
money
like,
as well.
yeah, like when I see someone go, oh, I didn't do cardio, and I'm like, maybe you should have.
Yeah,
You would have
because you
been
still got
better.
another 4 weeks.
Yeah.
You needed another 4 weeks. Like your legs ain't come in.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah, don't be afraid to do cardio. I don't even Helms don't even call it really cardio. It's just calorie burns,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
think because when people think cardio, people have like preconceived ideas or definitions of things already like made up in their mind. So when, for example, diet, it comes from the Greek word dieta, which is a manner of living. But most people think like good food, bad food, clean food, dirty food,
Yeah.
low carb, high carb. So people misinterpret it all the time. And with the way the 3DMJ guys do it is in just burn calories
Yeah. Is it
and probably do lifts.
Yeah, exactly, because it's a great way of, with us, we monitor client steps, we monitor calories from expenditure, and, the lines blur, and it's a case of going, well, yeah, I used to walk to the pub because I used to much enjoy doing that versus on a treadmill, on an incline walk, boring out of my mind. But on those days where I had to get it done, I went on the cross trainer and I just smashed it out.
Yeah.
Those days when you've just got to get the work done, you pick the tool needed, don't you, to get it done. So yeah, nice, mate.
Yeah.
So 6 weeks out now.
Yep.
And is there anything you're doing now with your nutrition that you weren't doing prior, like when you first started? Is anything more of a priority now versus what it might have been when you first started?
Yeah, it's a weird one. 'Cause when I first started and being very competitive, I was like a clean eater.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the fuck? Like, look what you're doing. You're still 8 months and like 2 weeks out. Like, you can't go at it this hard at start off the bat. Like, you're gonna just mentally just burn out. So,
Yeah.
I've been eating granola since day one. Like, that's my thing. I have total Greek yogurt, 0% fat, and it's either granola, crunchy nut granola, cocoa pot granola, Jordan's granola. Or crunchy nut cornflakes. That's the one. You need to try that. Crunchy nut cornflakes with total Greek 0% yogurt. That's my thing. Obviously, I'll pay a little bit more money for that, but that's because the amount of protein and the sort of the reduced, obviously 0% fat and reduced amount of carbs. It's I always like to have that sort of macro filler after dinner. There's nothing worse. Basically, if I get home and I've got less than 1,000 calories of left, then it's like, what the fuck? Like, every decision you make, there's always going to be a consequence.
Yeah.
So if you spunk your macros, when you don't prep stuff, basically when you start off on the prep and you've got more calories, I've been flexible like that. I don't say I'm an if it fits your macros. It's just I use macros and
Yeah.
I basically that's how it would be pigeonholed. But
Yeah.
yeah, when I started off, I was probably too much clean eating, and now as I'm getting leaner, because I can handle being hungry, nothing's really changed.
Mm-hmm.
Like last night, I still had 40 grams of crunchy nut cornflakes with like 400 grams or 350 grams of total Greek yogurt. So for me, it's just small tweaks. Try not to do anything rapidly. Like Helms isn't just going to go, you're on 400 grams of carbs and now you're on 100. Like that's. Yeah. So one, it's making sure you've got long enough to diet in the first place, so you don't have to be as aggressive. And I think, especially when you see so many people that go, yeah, I'm 12 weeks out and they just literally started dieting.
Yeah.
Obviously, granted that they don't weigh 100 kg and have like over 20% body fat, but still.
It's relative, isn't it?
Yeah, it's relative, and their 12 weeks might be my 20 weeks or 22 weeks. So it's a weird one because when I got to a certain point, and obviously I'm competing like Steve Hall, you probably know Steve, and AJ, we're doing like going to the same competition. I've been dieting like double the time of like Steve. So when he's like 14 weeks out and I'm like, oh, now I'm just like normal. I've been dieting for 14 weeks and now I'm at like a normal level to actually start a prep. But I just had, so it's like I've had to do 2 preps to get down to a normal level to then as what normal people would have before they started their prep.
Yeah.
And then I've had to have that second prep. But yeah, nothing. It's just, from day one, I've had macro-friendly foods. And when I say macro-friendly foods, I'm talking about Weight Watchers Heinz little chocolate pots for like 160 calories, protein bars.
Have you found Soleros yet, mate?
I've got a pack of them. They're 90 odd calories, aren't they?
Mate, they are the bee's knees when it comes to prep, Soleros.
And that's the thing. I just have frozen yogurt. So rather than having a tub of Ben and Jerry's ice cream, I just have frozen yogurt because it still tastes good.
Yep.
And the macros are decent.
Put a bit of choc on that, mate, and you're good.
That's it. So because I've not because there is no food off limits, there's just foods off limits in regards to quantity size. Yep. I still have a KFC chicken wing. Now I'm getting closer and closer. The reason why I don't is because
you don't want it.
Yeah. And I want to focus on, there's a difference between focusing on hunger and craving. When you get to the deeper stages of prep, focus on hunger. Get that shit on lock. Don't focus on cravings. So if you focus on craving, it could just be, one, your cravings are probably not going to be very volume based and low calorie dense food. They're probably going to be high calorie dense food and small volume. So you just can't afford to eat a lot of those foods. Like, you'd be a fucking idiot to do so, and it'd be extremely hard to stay within 50 grams of fat and hit your protein intake by trying to satisfy your cravings. I satisfy my cravings. I don't even have cravings because I have the foods I enjoy, because I just have a macro friendly version. Rather than 1,000 calories for that tub, it's 350 or 380 calories instead. So it's just making good decisions with your food, finding out what works best with you in regards to actually, for me personally, I like to have more calories in the evening, which means I have less during the day. Or what I tend to have now is because I train at, what time do I get in the gym? 6:10 because the first train's just at 5:57. So I train in the morning, and after my Dexa scan, and even Helm's done a review in mass, which looked at one study which had 28 grams pre and post workout with whey, and then 28 grams of Gatorade, like carb solution, pre and post. And this was in a deficit, and there was actually a significant difference between those which had the whey compared to the Gatorade. And when they actually looked at, here's a bit of science for you. I still do a bit of science, of not just like Facebook ad retargeting. The group which didn't have whey, you could say, oh, but they had lower protein. Well, yeah, they did have lower protein, but habitually they still, when they added it up, they were still on 2.9 grams per kilogram of body weight, which is really high.
It's a good amount of protein.
Especially in scientific literature, because it tends to always be, the recommended daily was like 0.8. Yeah. They suggest. So I was like, okay, well, there is some. And this is the thing, whenever you look at a study, you're always dictated to by the subjects and always dictated to by the short-term time. Well, I'm doing a 9-month prep. So the good thing was, after the Dexa scan, and I was like, oh, I've lost all my muscle for like 10 seconds. And I was like, snap out of it, Luke, you idiot. I was then, because I was training in the morning, beforehand, I would probably just have a protein shake. But as I get into even like the revelation of caffeine tablets, I'm like, because I never used to have a high amount of habitual caffeine, which was a good thing. But probably from 9 weeks out, when you're training at 6:10 in the morning, I gave sort of the example of when you're in the deeper stages of prep, an RPE of 7 feels like a 9. Yeah. And now that I'm having better sort of peri-nutrition or peri-workout nutrition, where I'm actually having carbohydrates. So basically I have the best protein bars in the world, Tesco's Nutri-First ones. They've got a lot of fat in. They've got 10 grams of fat, and that's a lot when you're on 50 grams of fat.
Mate, you ain't dieting hard enough if you can have them in.
Yeah, I fit 2 of them in. But basically, literally, the last 3 or 4 days, this is I know it sounds stupid, but my weight has dropped. I hit a new low, and I was like, that was after, I always had like 1 pre-workout, but the last 3 days, I've been having 2 every single morning, bang, bang. So I've got more carbohydrates, got more protein. Normally, so now I'm having carbs, protein, and caffeine pre-workout. Mm-hmm. And just from working on having more calories inside me and the caffeine, the RPE of 7 now feels like an 8 rather than it feeling like a 9.
Nice.
Because I can remember the week after the conference, I was sitting on a leg press machine, and the thought of just fucking pushing it, the thought of just sitting down on it just to move myself away from the plate was just thingy. And then the following Monday I started having caffeine, and I felt a lot better. And they're the little things, just little things where it's like having the little tools in your tool belt, and it's like you keep them, and then when you need them, it's like you don't just chuck everything out. You don't just go have all of the cardio, cut all of the calories, and lift all of the weights. You're saying, actually, so for me, it was my caffeine. When I started feeling it, the time where I actually felt bad was just in workouts, because you can see that it's a lot harder to hit the weights you were lifting when you were in deeper stages of prep.
Yeah.
None of my lifts have really gone down massively apart from my bench. All the other stuffs have gone up and then sort of maintained up. My aim now in the gym is to just maintain pretty much.
Nice.
And if that's sort of a win. Because obviously my weight is going down, so relative strength is going to be going up. The only thing which has really suffered is my bench, but you just come to terms with that. But it's little things. When I said to Helms about it, it was like, well, you've got less fat on your arse now, and you've got less fat on your back now, so your range of motion is probably going to, if you're always trying to go down to your chest, the range of motion is going to be more than you're accustomed to when you was a fat fuck. And like little things like that make you feel a little bit better, and there is some like credence to that. There is some like some truth to that. But yeah, it's just
that's good, mate. It's really
wiser
good.
with your decisions, so you don't end up being at home at night and being like, I've got nothing to eat. And sleeping works well. Like hunger naps. If you're hungry, go and have a little nap, and then wake up, because you wasted time.
Or a walk. Yeah.
Or a walk, or just like staying busy. So like doing podcasts and stuff like that, or me having Skype meetings and stuff like that, where I have to be on it. Yeah. Like you wouldn't. I've got quite a good. You ain't going to say, "Oh, this guy is suffering from."
Just hit up the PS4. You know hours will go by.
Battlefield, but do you know what's hard about the PS4, especially when you've got the dining room chair, which has like a little bit of foam, but when you have very little fat on your ass, it hurts to sit down on these chairs. Yeah. So where before I'd had one pillar, I've now had to raise it up like a booster seat of 3 pillars worth to be able to sit comfortably for more than like 10 minutes. And Battlefield games are long. I play Conquest, so they're 30 minutes a game. So it's like, my ass is getting.
I'm a Rainbow Six Siege kind of guy.
Oh yeah, I've got that, but I just didn't really get into it.
Oh, you need a good squad, mate. When you get your squad on point, it's all about team cohesion. You know, I don't play by myself. You got to be squadding up, full squad going in.
Full squad ahead. Lads, if you got a WhatsApp group.
Yeah. We've got a team box. We've got a team box Rainbow squad.
Nice.
It's good.
I like that.
Yeah, but it's we need to get that going. Actually, it's died a little bit, so I'll need to pick that up. Mate, honestly, I just want to say thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm conscious of time. We've been chatting for ages, off air, and obviously now recording this. So, Luke, I just want to say best of luck for 6 weeks' time. I'll be watching.
Thank you, sir.
And then maybe we'll have to get you on in the future to see how it all went. And you can give us a breakdown if you enjoyed posing in your little thong. So, so Luke, where can people find out more about you, or more importantly, you've got a big date coming up on the 28th of September. So what is that all about? What do people need to do?
28th of August and 30th of September is the date of the show. So this is another good thing though, is having that to focus on. Yeah. So I've got like 2 events. Yeah. The Academy launch, obviously the SBS Academy launch. And if you want to find out more information, just go to shreddedbyscience.com. There'll be a button. There'll be a thing at the top.
They can learn from Eric, right?
They can learn from Eric. Eric has so basically it's made up of 4 modules. Module 1's basically looking at making you the best personal trainer possible for Gen Pop, which the SBS team teach on. And then Helms has a whole module on coaching for physique athletes, so taking people from what is your role of a coach to training to nutrition to peak week to post diet. Nice. Then we've got Dr. Zurdos, who is the man, and that's looking at coaching for powerlifting. And then it comes back to me for module 4, which is looking at setting up a fitness business. And no, it isn't creating a cash flow sheet and a startup cost on a spreadsheet. It's actually looking like marketing, social media, gym floor stuff, and all of that. Nice. That's in August 28th. Again, it's just having that thing to focus on. It distracts you. And I know we're both speaking at Body Power Fitness Trade Show as well. So that'd be
Yeah.
interesting when I'm like a few weeks out.
Yeah.
What day are you there?
I'm there both days.
I'm there one day because I'm prepping and I do not want to be staying over in Birmingham
Yeah.
with all of yous lot when like 2.5 weeks out from a show.
Yeah, no, it's going to be good. I think I'm on 3 stages or something over there.
I got 3 talks in one day.
Yeah,
So
I think
like,
I think I'm going to be something similar for over the 2.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's going to be good. I'm excited for it. So I think people can just register for free, can't they, for that? And it is it's a day for personal trainers to learn more. And there's some great speakers, obviously not including us. I'm not sure how me and you have managed to get on there, but we'll take it.
we do it.
Yeah, that's it.
We'll give it a
So,
go.
mate, honestly, best of luck with everything. And
Cheers, mate.
if you send me over any social links, I can get those on the description of the podcast so people can find out more about your SBS launch of the Academy and to follow more of your work and stuff.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for your time and thanks for having me on.
Mate, no worries. Take care, buddy.